And then, who was killed? Sadat. And who came after, in their view, is we killed Sadat and the one after him is worse than him. So we are not changing anything. So what do we have to do? The national struggle is not enough. We need to go to the international one. Why? Because we need to target the people who are behind him. I'm sorry to say, if you are logic with a political thought, you cannot say they are completely crazy. You may say they are wrong in all what they are doing, but there is a political logic in what they are saying. And why is it heard? Because on the political ground they are saying, if you don't target the United States of America or Europe, you are not going to change what is happening in our third world country, because these people are supported by them. So kill them, they will change us. So I disagree with this. I think it's simplistic, I think it's wrong. But there is a logic. I understand, I not justify. I understand what they are saying. And I'm telling you, go in Africa, speak with the people, and let them answer your question. Why do you hate America? They're not going to say, we don't like democracy. They don't say, we don't like freedom. They say, we don't like this government supporting dictators and letting us live in such poverty when they have everything. Their sense is about their injustice, not their values. Their lack of consistency. So the point for me is something which is really important. Why? Because this discourse could get people, could attract people. And by not listening to it, not challenging this discourse on the political ground, we are making a mistake. And the point is, we should tackle the religious discourse and we should tackle the wrong political understanding or answer to this. So, when someone is logic, he's not always right. But you are not going to answer his understanding if you say you are wrong. Only, and not to listen. You need to challenge from within this political discourse. And when you deal with the people at the grassroots level, this is where we have to be very deep and very consistent in our discourse. So, this is something which is important. And then you have all this, I don't deny, I think that all was what said. I think I didn't know because all this, theories, because I think that my approach is including all this. It's inclusive of all the parameters, you will see that. But let me just go ahead. Having said that, what we have to say, in Europe, we want to tackle radicalization and extremism. What you said at the end of your talk is something which is important. Muslims are part of the solution and not the problem. Not the only problem. Not the exclusive problem. Why is it important? Because if we want to tackle the religious discourse and to tackle the wrong political understanding, we need the Muslims to be involved in the discussion, because the mainstream Muslim community, they don't, buy all this business of the radical views, so they should be involved. So the point here is, don't target the Muslims and try to do two things, which is missing today. The first one is trust. Trust. And the problem is there will be no trust if we don't start at the local, at the national level to work together, authorities. And don't come to Muslims only in times of crisis. If you respect your citizens, you have to come to them in times of peaceful coexistence and not only proactive coexistence. The problem is that the Muslims are called to the table of the government only in times of crisis. Not as equal citizens, but okay, we have a problem. Let us talk about radicalization. To talk about education, to talk about social issues, it's as if they are not really the target. In fact, this is something which is wrong. If we are obsessed with radicalization and we come with the Muslims only in time of crisis, we are nurturing the sense of alienation and non-belonging. Because you nurture, it's a psychological phenomenon. If I'm only called to come when you have a problem with me, I'm going to define myself as a problem for you. So it's a problem to be a problem. No, I'm not kidding. It's something which is very deep. It's very deep because it's nurturing something here. And it's not only with the marginalized people. You can be very sophisticated as due to your knowledge and very fragile as your psychology. These people who are involved in suicide bombings and things like that, they are not stupid. They are not educated. The great majority of them are very high profile as to their education and even their westernization in terms of culture. I think that we have here to be very... So, trust is important, partnership is important, and something which is really important. The governance, all what has to do with security. There is something that we have to be very clear and consistent in this. Secularization, secularism, all the process is to come with something which is trust and partnership with the citizens, but the government has no right to control, but could facilitate the processes. What I'm saying is something which is really important. If you come by saying, these are the Muslims to whom we are going to talk because we like that they are saying, you are going to lose the community. Because the question is not who you like, the question is who has credential, who is heard in the community. And sometimes, as you said, sometimes you sit with people, you don't like what they are saying. But you don't like, but they are heard. So here, this is the only way to go beyond suspicion. At one point, you have to tell to the people you don't like what they say, look, there is a limit of what you are saying here. If it's against the law, we are not going to accept this. But we need to sit at the same table. Because you don't deny to conservative Christians the fact that they can sit at your table to talk. They are conservative. You may not like what they are saying, but they are part of the society. And I think it's something which is really important. Don't decide for the Muslims who are the people to speak for the Muslims. The Muslims should decide who is going to speak for themselves. And it could take time, but the process is only built on democratic process from within and partnership on the long run. Having said that, let me just, because I really need to, I still have 5 minutes or 2 minutes. Wow. So let me become an Egyptian again. And take a bit time as I'm always saying, using my Egyptian culture with time. So, this is something which is important, and I think that if we want to tackle, as I said, security policy, this is something which is really important. But now, if we want to be serious about tackling radicalization and work on the gray area, we need to have what I call preemptive policies within the society, something which is really important. There are two things, two principles upstream from these preemptive policies. The first one is, my answer to Tony Blair when he said once, he said, the Muslims has a duty to integrate. The Muslims have a duty to integrate. Say that's fine, no problem. To integrate to what? And he set a list of values. Democracy, freedom, that's fine. We don't have a problem with democracy, freedom, and the great majority of the Muslim, the European Muslims or the Western Muslims and even the Muslims in the world, they don't have a problem with this. But my answer is, you are right. But there is something which is a two-way process. They may have a duty to integrate and you have a duty to offer consistency. You cannot just say to the people freedom and equal rights on the ground in their daily life, they don't feel it. Because when you are Arab, when you are Asian, when you are too much a Muslim, you don't get the same rights in the society. The government should also have something which is duty of consistency. The rights are for all, equal citizenship means something for us at the grassroots level. This is something which is really important. Duty of consistency is the way to say, we know that sometimes we are dealing with discriminations. Why am I saying this? The Pew report in the United States of America was published 3 or 4 months ago, saying something which is really interesting. The people who are the most attracted by violent and radical reaction towards the governments are the people sometimes who don't have a problem with integration, but they are dealing with social issues. How, for example? The African American, and some of them are Muslims. You cannot go to an African American and say, you know, you have to integrate to the American culture. They are American, don't tell them, okay, integrate to what exactly? This is my country. I came here 500 years ago. So you are talking now, the problem may be in your mind, not in my reality. But why are they sometimes very radicals? Because they normally, with their status, should get rights. As they don't get the rights, there is no consistency in the whole discourse, they tend to go to something which is a more radical sense of identity. You don't give me the rights, I will struggle with something else. Exactly the same with the French citizens. When, for example, in the suburbs, it was understood an Arab phenomenon